guys. It's been a few weeks since I put out an episode, and I apologize for the delay. I was traveling out of the country. I went to my favorite country in the world, which is the Philippines, and I spent 3 weeks there, and I will put a separate episode out for that, but it's going to take me a few days to go through all the footage. I have over 300 video files from my phone, from my GoPro, and from this camera, and it just takes a long time to kind of sift through that to make a meaningful episode. But I do want to share my experience with you. In the meantime, I'm sitting here and I have 2 weeks to go in this marina, so I'm booked to stay through September 30, and I can't continue beyond September 30 because A, I'm not going to pay anymore, and they want me to leave if I'm not going to pay, which is fair. So the basic plan is to finish up some work, which we'll talk about in a second, and then leave here on the 30th. Okay, and we'll talk about the sailing plan in a moment. So what work do I have to do? I'm happy to say that I think I'm done climbing the mast. Okay, I had some help too. There's a gentleman from the next marina down who loves climbing masts, and Paul went up a couple times in my stead to help me run the cable. That was a two-person job anyhow. Somebody has to be at the top, somebody has to be at the bottom, and so in those jobs I didn't make the climb, but I probably climbed the mast about 15 times since I've been here, and I'm tired of that. But the good news is we have the new tricolor light with the anchor light installed on top of the mast. We have the new steaming light mounted 2/3 of the way up the mast, and I have to make the electrical connections. So that's one of the jobs. So one of the jobs is finish the electrical connections to get those lights working. Okay, that's a biggie. Second thing, which I'm working right now over the weekend, is the new deck plywood. I'm replacing a lot of the old teak and holly plywood which had been damaged by the previous owner in two big areas. The air conditioner had condensate back up and it rotted out a bunch of the deck in the area underneath where I'm sitting now, and under the nav station there was a battery fire in the past, and hydrochloric acid was all over the place, and that was the first job I did back in Florida last year. So again, none of this is a complaint. It's the deck need to be replaced. That's the bottom line. And trying to find an exact match for the plywood was very difficult. So I am just getting something completely different. It's going to look a lot more like this plywood here. That's alder plywood, and it's going to be installed in the next couple of days. So that's a biggie. Get the wood done. See, I also. So get the decks done, yes. Get the mast lighting done, yes. New alternator for the engine. I'm going to go tackle that, I think, tomorrow, depending on the weather. I'll take out the existing alternator. And one of the viewers, I apologize, I don't recall which one, suggested maybe go looking at Napa Auto Parts. So I'll go to the auto parts store. There's several of them down there close to here within a 10-minute bike ride. And I'll go first, talk to them, make sure they can get me a new one if I bring them the old one. I think it's pretty reasonable to get a new alternator on the engine in the next 2 weeks. I think that's a reasonable goal. And the DC electric panel. I'm happy to say that the new electric panel, I have, I think, all the parts that I need now to just take a day or two and slowly demold the old and put in the new and not set anything on fire. And I'm thinking about trying to tackle that in the next 2 weeks. So after September 30, let me show you what we're going to do. This is my famous chart table. I've shown this a million times in episodes, and my chart plotter, which I use sometimes, and I'll use right here to start off with. My current location is up here. Is that right? No, that's not right. My current location is way up here on the Ortega River where the little red dot is. My plan is to chug out of here, have to wait to high tide to exit the marina. I need high tide to get out of here, so let's zoom in. You can see the track that I use to come in here. I left that on the computer for a reason, because I'm going to follow it to get out. It's like following breadcrumbs, because it's very shallow. I'm pretty much aground right now in the marina, and I hit bottom right about in here coming in. So I need to leave at high tide. I'm going to come out here, get out to the main river where it's deep, and Green Cove Springs is all the way up the St. Johns River down to past Fleming Island to right down there. And I want to go all the way down to Green Cove Springs and just anchor for 2 weeks. And you may ask, why 2 weeks? Well, because on the weekend of October 22, the Navy Air Station is having their air show right about here. So the NAS Jacksonville is right about here, and there'll be the Blue Angels performing. And I thought, let's go check that out. So I think a lot of boaters anchor in this area as close as they can get without getting run off. Some people go to Plummer's Cove, some people go in here. I don't know exactly where I'm going to go. And after that, I'll be leaving. And when I leave, where are we going next? Well, you'll see I have charts for this whole area. I have electronic charts, and I've got paper charts for this too. My real goal is to get out of here, pretty much backtrace a little bit, and then cut across the Gulf Stream. Probably go like this and come in the northeast channel, Providence Channel, to Nassau, check into the country there, and then maybe go check out the Exumas, these islands down this way. These are the Exumas. It's supposed to be beautiful. I've never actually been to the Exumas, but I know many people who have. All the the guidebooks talk about it, and I'm looking forward to that. So so we've talked before about the need for me to remain reasonably close to the USA in case, well, not in case, it's almost a dead certainty, but whenever my girlfriend gets her visa, then I need to be able to bring the boat to the USA, get into a marina or some kind of storage facility, and store the boat while I fly to bring her back. And then she and I will finally be together in the same country on the boat, and we can cruise the USA for quite a while, and we're not sure what else to do after that. We're not making plans that far out. So what I like to do is spend the winter in either the area around Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic and the Virgin Islands, or just stay in the Bahamas the entire winter. And I just don't know which way I'm going to go. I'm not too much worried about that. I mean, a third option would be to leave here after the air show and just go down to Marathon and sit there and wait. I really don't care for that option, because I just end up eating too much and drinking too much, and I'm not sailing. So I want to spend the winter at anchor 99% of the time, and probably down in the Bahamas to begin with. So what I do know is that in the Bahamas it costs about $300 to enter the country and get a cruising permit. So that's not something you want to pay if you're only going to stay a weekend, right? So if I pay that fee, that means I'll stay a couple of months. And I would have time, I think, to do November and December in the Bahamas and then continue on to Puerto Rico after that. Maybe that's what I'll do. So I'm not quite sure. Yeah, so I'm not quite sure what I'll do with respect to the details of the sailing plan. You can be sure it's going to be someplace where there's good beaches and good places to anchor and lots of cool places to explore. But I'm describing anywhere in the Bahamas and through the Caribbean. Technically, the Bahamas are not in the Caribbean, so we'll point that out. But I would like to see the Bahamas. On the other hand, I may also just go right around them and go sail direct to the Puerto Rico, like a week and a half long trip, and sail directly to Puerto Rico or to the U.S. Virgin Islands. I just don't know. So at a high level, again, and I'll close out this video now, at a high level, 2 weeks of work on the boat, and then about 3 weeks hanging out in the St. Johns River waiting for the air show. After the air show, go and head someplace south. Either the Bahamas, or target would be Puerto Rico, or the U.S. Virgin Islands initially. Not quite sure. So I have Bruce Van Zant's book here. You know, he's the guy who wrote The Thornless Path. I also have Jimmy Cornell's book about world cruising routes, and I'm going to review those. I'm going to be studying the weather patterns, trying to make the right decisions so I don't get myself in shitty seas and all that. I'm very, very wary of trying to cross the Gulf Stream or go against the Gulf Stream in bad weather. So all of that is going to drive my decisions about exactly where I go. So I'm not too worried about that yet. I do need to devote some time to that in the next couple of weeks. So if anybody has any thoughts on that, just let me know. And I know there's a couple of folks out there with whom I've been in contact, and I'm hoping some of the viewers will be able to jump aboard and follow along and ride the boat for a week or two if their schedules permit. And Zach, you're out there, I know, and I know Dale, you're over there in St. Pete, and I hope you guys are both able to join at one time or another. So for all the veterans out there, you know, there's always a bunk for you on board this boat. And it doesn't look like it here because right now it's storing all my plywood, but I can make a bunk for somebody pretty darn quickly. And I think, you know, sometimes people just don't have the means to get away, and but I can help you out there. So So with that, I think I'm going to slap a bow on this video real quick and get it rolling and get it issued, because it's going to take me days to do the thing for the Philippines. I've got a lot of footage to go through, so I'm feeling good. I've got over my jet lag. I am now awake in the daytime and asleep at night like I'm supposed to be, and I have some work to do on the boat. And tomorrow I'm really going to get kicked off in earnest. I want the new decks done by the end of the week. I want a new alternator on the engine. I want those new lights connected. If I get the electric panel finished, that'd be a miracle, but I'm going to go after that as well. So with that, appreciate your comments. I always do. Take care, everybody. Bye.